This, I think fair to say, is worse than the worst case scenario.
I think it's going very well. It was an operation like when a patient gets operated on.
We are witnessing a market meltdown triggered by President Trump's historic trade war.
Liberation Day is here. Do you feel liberated yet? Because it's been a pretty shaky start for Trump's attempt to reorganize the world economy. So in this video, I'm going to break down Liberation Day, including the immediate impact on the stock market, how the Canadian Prime Minister is reacting to it, how Fox News is reacting to it, how a Republican senator is having some buyer's remorse. And you'll be maybe surprised at who that senator is. And I'll also get to just the potentially wild reason behind the calculation of these global tariffs. So let me first start with the immediate impact, which has been clear. So you could tell it's bad because this guy's holding his head. Anyone that's wearing a headset who's holding their head like this, it means it's a really bad day. U.S. stock market see worst day since COVID pandemic after investors shaken by Trump tariffs. So all three major U.S. index funds closed down as Apple and Nvidia, two of U.S.'s largest companies, lose combined $470 billion. Now, the global markets, as you can see here, are all down. China doesn't seem too impacted. They're doing just fine. Everybody else, though, down considerably. Now, this is a great point, and it's worth thinking this. Even if you, as I did, have many criticisms of Joe Biden, if Joe Biden did this, you all would be losing your shit. Imagine it was Bernie Sanders. Imagine Bernie Sanders did this to the global economy. He would be out. They would find a way to impeach him the next day. Donald Trump is doing it, and you're going to see how Fox News is defending him. It's cultish, to say the least. But Kyle Klinsky has a really good breakdown of how this is not going to work at all. Can't stress enough that just doing tariffs will 100% not lead to a manufacturing boom. Trump is missing the entire second half of the equation, which is industrial policy. The government would need to do huge subsidies. He's currently slashing government spending and axing the CHIPS Act, which would have added 115,000 manufacturing jobs. Without the manufacturing there, these tariffs are just leading to higher prices, as we'll get to in a second. The processes are not in place to replace what the U.S. needs to import. So, in the perfect world where somehow the U.S. economy was manufacturing everything and somehow got all the materials they needed within the country, if there was some kind of perfect world where that happened, or where they could do that, then maybe this might make a little more sense if you were just a complete isolationist as a way to manufacture all of your goods and be able to source all of the materials within your own borders. But that's not possible, first of all. But even if you wanted to, in some industries, try and do that a little more, the processes are not in place to replace what you need to import. So the reality is, the products that people want are just going to be a hell of a lot more expensive. So even Fox News viewers, or at least whoever answered the Fox News poll, know this. So tariffs on imports will make products you buy more expensive, say 69%, less expensive, only 7%, and no difference, 17%. So it appears voters are aware of this, at least the majority of them. Now, when it comes to what products will be more expensive, well, basically everything. Because of the 10% universal tariff on imports, any imported good is likely to become more expensive in the coming weeks and months as American companies digest the import duties and adjust their prices in response. So some examples: electronics like iPhones and TVs, and video game consoles as well. We've already seen an example of this. The new Switch 2 was announced, and the price of it in Japan is about $110 less than it is in the US, which has not been the case in the past with previous Nintendo consoles. So already they are prepping for what's going to happen. And in fact, they're in the process of moving, at least some of their manufacturing, to Vietnam with the expectation that these tariffs would mostly hit China, but now they're hitting everybody. They're also hitting Vietnam, meaning it's possible that not only will the console, as announced, going to be released at a higher price than it would have been otherwise, but it's possible it will get even higher in the future because of the impact of these tariffs. But that's, again, one specific example. We're talking about, iPhones as well, likely going up. Automobiles, of course. So these will also go up. As they write here, ultimately, American consumers could end up paying an additional 2,500 to 5,000 for the lowest cost American cars, and up to 20,000 for some imported models, which is wild. Clothing and shoes as well, wine and spirits, furniture, coffee and chocolate, and randomly Swiss watches. So if you're a big Swiss watch fan, then you've got something to worry about. But this is the impact of all this. Now, don't let this fool you, because Donald Trump, this is the guy who knows what he's talking about.
An old-fashioned term that we use, groceries. I used it on the campaign. It's such an old-fashioned term, but a beautiful term, groceries. It sort of says a bag with different things in it. Groceries went through the roof, and I campaigned on that. I talked about the word groceries for a lot.
The old-fashioned term groceries, a bag with a bunch of stuff in it. This is a man that has never went grocery shopping in his entire life. And people thought he would stick up for them, that he would somehow be able to empathize, understand what the average person goes through, and be able to address their problems. Amazing. Imagine anybody, Joe Biden said that. Imagine this was a Joe Biden line. This alone, forget the economy, which of course would also, lead to immediate impeachment or whatever else. That clip alone would be enough to take down any other politician. Donald Trump says, just Trump being Trump. Clownery. On that point, though, so the president campaigned on a promise to bring down grocery prices, but the new tariffs announced Wednesday will do the opposite for many staple foods, including those hardest hit being coffee, chocolate, vanilla, bananas, fruits, and vegetables from South America, the berries you buy in the winter, and a lot of shrimp. But no, this stable man knows what he's talking about. Here is Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick on CNN defending Donald Trump.
Let Donald Trump run the global economy. He knows what he's doing. He's been talking about it for 35 years. You got to trust Donald Trump in the White House. That's why they put him there. Let him fix it.
I understand.
It's broken. Let him fix it.
It's broken. Let him fix it. He knows what he's talking about. Let Trump run the global economy. This man knows what he's doing. That's why he imposed a tariff on an uninhabited island near Antarctica with a bunch of penguins. There's many memes going around, by the way, of Trump debating penguins and having penguins in the Oval Office. What is going on? This is so insane. Now, this gets to the potential reason behind the insane tariff calculation. So, Guardian headline here, Trump's idiotic and flawed tariff calculations stun economists. So economists are kind of just looking at this being like, what the hell is going on? For each country, the White House looked up its trade and goods deficit for 2024, then divided that by the total value of imports. Trump, to be kind, said he would, however, offer a discount, so have that figure. The calculation was even distilled into a formula. So this was basically reverse engineered by economists that figured out what they did here. And look, I'm not an economist, but I will, based on what we're seeing happen right now, I will trust their judgment into saying this is insane. But what's funny to me, even funnier than how simple this whole thing appears to be, is that Trump's new tariff math looks a lot like ChatGPT's. So this is from The Verge. ChatGPT, Gemini, Grok, and Claude all recommend the same nonsense tariff calculation. So a number of ex-users have realized that if you ask ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, or Grok for an easy way to solve trade deficits and put the U.S. on an even playing field, they'll give you a version of this deficit divided by exports formula with remarkable consistency. It's very possible that whoever within Trump's administration did this, put this together, went to ChatGPT to execute their tariff formula. And look at the result. If this is the genesis of all of this, I didn't realize AI would be our downfall this quickly. So here is Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney.
Yesterday's actions by the U.S. administration, while not specifically targeting Canada, will rupture the global economy and adversely affect global economic growth. The global economy is fundamentally different today than it was yesterday. The system of global trade anchored on the United States that Canada has relied on since the end of the Second World War, a system that, while not perfect, has helped to deliver prosperity for our country for decades, is over. Our old relationship of steadily deepening integration with the United States is over. The 80-year period when the United States embraced the mantle of global economic leadership, when it forged alliances rooted in trust and mutual respect, and championed the free and open exchange of goods and services, is over. Well, this is a tragedy. It is also the new reality. Canada is ready to take a leadership role in building a coalition of like-minded countries who share our values. We believe in international cooperation. We believe in the free and open exchange of goods, services, and ideas. And if the United States no longer wants to lead, Canada will.
You heard him. Canada, new world leaders. Watch out. We're coming for you, and we are going to hold the door. So this is playing a clip of Mark Carney right after playing a clip of Donald Trump is incredible. It's just the massive gap between the two. One is intelligent, measured, knows what he's talking about. The other just learned the word groceries. It really is wild to see the stark contrast between Trump and Carney. But a couple last clips I want to share here because the reaction from Ted Cruz, Republican senator, is amazing. And I'll also get to a Fox News clip and their cope.
Look, I think it is a mistake to assume that we will have high tariffs in perpetuity. I don't think that would be good economic policy. I am not a fan of tariffs. And the announcement yesterday, look, time is going to tell in the next month or two or three what happens. If the result of yesterday's announcement is a lot of our trading partners across the globe dramatically reduce the tariffs they charge on U.S. goods and services, and the consequence of that is the U.S. government dramatically cuts the tariffs that were announced yesterday, that would be a great outcome. That would be good for America. If the result is our trading partners jack up their tariffs and we have high tariffs everywhere, I think that is a bad outcome for America. Tariffs are a tax on consumers, and I'm not a fan of jacking up taxes on American consumers. So my hope is these tariffs are short-lived and they serve as leverage to lower tariffs across the globe.
Ted Cruz. Trump has lost Ted Cruz on these tariffs. Now, Ted Cruz, of course, serves the business community, which for obvious reasons are not happy right now. So it isn't necessarily that he's worried about the average person, which of course these tariffs are impacting. It's, business leaders. That said, this isn't good for anybody. So I think Ted Cruz is a bit of a canary in the coal mine here in the sense that he is reading what's going on. He sees the unpopularity of these tariffs and just the obvious tanking of the economy, and is not going to back this when it wouldn't benefit him in any way. So if this pressure keeps up from Republicans within Washington, I got to wonder, is that at some point going to have an impact on Trump's decision to keep this going or not? Then again, Trump doesn't seem to know what's going on, doesn't seem to care, is completely unpredictable. Who knows what, the next week is going to be, let alone the next few months. But last clip I want to share here is Fox News, who have not yet left him. They are back in this sinking ship and seem to be enjoying the ride.
Greg, think it's an exciting time to be alive. We have rewired the entire world in a way we haven't seen in 100 years. And it's great. And hopefully it works out. I haven't looked at my 401k today. I'm going to look at it tomorrow. Actually, maybe not. I won't look at it for another month. But you just, as he said, have to remain calm.
And he's delivering. And you know what? I don't really care about my 401k today. You know what? Not that I can afford it. Not that it isn't important. Not that I'm not at a point in my life when I should be worried about my 401k, because I am. But this is what I believe. I believe in this man.
It's easier to remain in the cult when it is your job to do so, and you are a multimillionaire. But a lot of people are not that fortunate. I would like to hear in the comments below your feelings about all of this, and even maybe your predictions. Will Trump reverse all of this tomorrow, or is he going to continue with this madness? Let me know your thoughts.